From the Ugly Parrot Studios in Newcastle, California, the Lumen Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. See, I almost screwed that one up, too.
I know, I heard you hesitate.
Just a slight pause. It was just like, okay, where am I at?
Don't pull a Greg.
Hey, everybody, Scott Robinson with you for another episode of Beyond the Humidor. We have our mascot, Bucky, gets top billing this week. And then the Gorilla. How's it going, Gorilla?
The Gorilla is good. Still a little tired from my trip, but overall, fairly well.
Nice. You have the proper Gorilla toys out over there to stimulate you and keep you happy?
The Gorilla's enclosure needs to get a little bigger. There's too many toys for the space I am provided.
Maybe it's too much gorilla.
No, 100% it's that problem too. But.
Hey, Greg, how's it going while you're trying to take a picture?
While I'm trying to take a picture for social media, it's a great week. Glad to have Danny back on the show again, even though I know you're going to get to that introduction in a minute. And
oh no, you go ahead and do the introduction since you got so eager.
Recently back from Idaho, and we'll get to that later on in the show.
Okay, what is it like in free America?
It's lovely. It's the air is cleaner, the roads are better.
That's half a step away from fabulous.
It is fabulous, but it's just a better experience, I think. It's amazing that taxes actually go to pay for what they're supposed to.
That's nice. Hey, Lawrence, how you doing?
Really good now. Fired up a nice cigar and a little bit of scotch. It's been a typical Monday here at Rex West, so this is going to be a nice break.
Groovy. Greg, if you wouldn't mind, introduction for our guests.
For our guests that are new to the program, this gentleman we met at our local lounge, Tobacco Republic. He comes in. He is a fan of Tatuaje cigars, in fact. And today he's here to talk about his line, whether it be cigars, coffee, merchandise, you name it. It's our good buddy, Dan Harrison, also known as Danny Deez.
How you doing?
All right. How's it going, Danny?
Good. Excellent.
Good
Glad
news,
to be here.
Man. You got some new stuff coming along the line. In fact, we're smoking some of the new stuff you got. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the one you're smoking is called the Hot Pass. It's a broadleaf wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler. Basically, it's called the Hot Pass because it's the first pass in a welding. That's your first initial run is the Hot Pass. So that one I kind of co-collabed with one of my buddies, Lone Wolf, and he is a certified welding inspector. And I kind of did it with him because he has a autistic grandson. So that's part of my cause. So him and I became real good friends over a while. And so I said, hey, what do you think about putting out a cigar with your name on it? He says, okay, cool.
Sweet.
So we kind of paired up and I let him do that. We went through a couple different test blends, stuff like that, figured out what we wanted. And that's what we came up with on that one.
Okay.
We have the one that you're smoking, which is the Fast Lane. Sumatra wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler also. Everything I got has partially closed foots. The Fast Lane comes with a pig's tail foot on the cap, actually. And then Greg's also smoking the Hot Pass. And I have one more that started the whole line called Alabama Rose. And that one's named after my daughter, who is autistic. And that's what began the whole journey, which is a 5x50 Nicaraguan Maduro Puro.
Those are great.
Oh, we finally get to know what's in it. It's been a year.
That's what you get.
No, I've had 3 or 4 of those now, and I really like those. That's a really great cigar.
Yeah.
See, I haven't had that yet.
And this is starting out. I think I had one of these before when you first brought these out. What?
You're
Yeah,
fading
you
and
have
out.
to get that mic closer to your face.
Right.
You're doing this.
All right. Yeah, when you first brought this line out, I think I got one of these from you. But, yeah, man, this is starting off fantastic.
Yeah.
That Sumatra is actually, I bought a pack from you when it came out, and it's one of my favorites. Unfortunately, I don't have any right now, but I think I can rectify that.
Yeah, we'll change that tonight.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a great stick, and actually all of them have been the Alabama Rose for that Nicaraguan Puro, which now that I know makes complete sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's got great spice to it. It's not overpowering or overwhelming. That Sumatra's exactly the sweet I would expect from a Sumatra with solid flavors. And I'll tell you about this one in a little bit.
Sounds
so
good.
far, I like it.
Yeah, I like to start on this. It's got some strength to it. not overpowering, but some good strength to it. Breakfast time with some black coffee.
Oh yeah,
This is
it pairs phenomenal with coffee.
yeah.
Speaking of coffee, how is the coffee line?
The coffee line's doing good. I got more coming in. New one that I'm going to drop probably in a week or two. Which, for anyone that doesn't know, I roast all my own coffee, source the beans, roast it, bag it, package it, ship it, do the whole deal. So I have the Ethiopian blend. I have the Weekend Sting, which is a 4-bean mix for espresso. I have Guatemalan, Sumatra. So there's a whole bunch coming out. So I got about 6 or 7 different types in the line now, plus a decaf. So excited to where that's going to go to. But
Nice.
Everyone that's bought it, I've had pretty raving reviews on it.
For those who haven't heard the previous program, how long have you been at the coffee and cigar game?
So Cigar Game, Alabama Rose came out April 1st. So it's pretty much been out about a year now.
Okay.
So it took me almost 2 years to have that come to fruition, going through different people, trying to figure out who was going to work with me, everything else, and finding the proper blenders. Because if my name's going to be behind it and my daughter's name's going to be on it, it's got to be something phenomenal.
Right.
So I have a good collection. I've smoked for almost 15 years now. So it's been a lot of fun.
Right on. Nice. And then when did you get into coffee?
So that's an interesting story. I ended up running into a guy that was doing, I believe, Lyft, and his whole car smelled like coffee. Well, we started talking, getting back and forth, and I told him, well, I'm into cigars. Started talking regions and stuff like that. He goes, well, wow, that sounds a lot like coffee. I said, well, hey, what would you think about making me one that pairs good with my cigar? He goes, well, have you ever thought about doing it yourself? I said, no, I don't know how to do it. He says, okay, well, I'll tell you what. You come over, and I'll get you certified. We'll go through, show you the whole process, and then you can come over, use my machine anytime, and you can roast it all up, and you can start your own deal. So this guy basically worked for about 23 years doing this and put me on game, basically, and showed me exactly how to do it.
That's amazing.
So I got blessed.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So now it's taken off, doing pretty well.
Okay. Now, we had an episode once upon a time where we talked about, there's people out there who've been, smoking cigars for a while, and they decide, it would be fun? Come up with my own cigar line. You got any advice for people who decide they want to do that?
Don't.
It's not an easy road. I will tell you that right now. It's not an easy road. Without the right contacts, it's really difficult to get into.
Yeah.
And as far as it comes to money, because people don't do limited drops that are 1,000. They don't do limited drops like that. I mean, the minimum is usually a 5,000 to 10,000 cigar run.
Okay.
And so that's going to be your upfront initial cost. So don't expect you to get that investment back immediately the minute it lands to your humidor.
Right.
So unless you have the capital to put out like that for it, and you go through all the hoops to get all the licensing, which is another story in itself.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes difficult.
And you got licensing in California, which pretty impressive to jump through California hoops for this.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've definitely been blessed. It's part of it's the contacts that I've met, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of these contacts I probably wouldn't have met without certain other people, me doing different cigar events, getting out there, networking with people, finding out who knows who, and just being me.
Right.
So
You've been at it for a year. So you do drop shipping?
I do have a website that has drop shipping on it. As far as the cigars and everything else go, I ship all that out myself. I do all the packaging, all the bubble wrap, the labels, the whole deal. So as far as all that distribution, I handle all that myself at this point.
Okay.
And then as far as all the swag, shirts, hats, I got over 75 items on the website.
Oh, wow.
It's called Hygruba, Hriguba, which basically in the old Aztec language meant to smoke. So it's kind of one of those lost things. So I went with that, and the cigars are also on the website. So you can purchase sampler packs, 5-packs, and pretty much my whole cause is autism. So the people that don't know, my daughter is autistic. I went through a hell of a run trying to get her in the proper schools, proper counselors, treatment, all that type of stuff. So that was a battle in itself.
How old is she now, Danny?
She's going to be 14 this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it really took all the way up till, which she still struggles, don't get me wrong, but she does have more structured program now where she can see a therapist, once a week, that type of thing, gets the help she needs. The teachers understand. So she is in special ed, obviously.
Yeah.
And, but she is progressing. So it's been wonderful, but she didn't talk till she was almost 3 years old. So it was one of those things that I didn't know if she was going to talk. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know anything about autism until I had her. So it's one of those things. So my goal is at some point in my lifetime to grow this company big enough to create generational wealth for her and to be able to cut $1 million check to the Renaissance Learning Center for autistic children.
That's a hell of a goal, man.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
That's awesome.
I'm rooting for you, brother.
With cigars like this, you'll
Yeah, no
succeed.
doubt. Everything in your line that I've tried, whether it's coffee, cigars, whatever, has been a great product.
Appreciate that.
And it's one of those things we talk about it a lot, but I don't think we talk about it enough. Just because something may not be in your wheelhouse as far as flavor or potency, strength, doesn't mean it's not a good product.
Right.
In my journey with cigars, I've come across some stuff that weren't great products either.
Right.
But those are few and far between in the industry anymore. And, I'm always real careful when we're talking about stuff that even if it's something that I may not gravitate towards, it's still a good cigar. It's constructed well. It's just not me.
Right.
But like I said, everything I've had of yours, coffee or cigars, is you can tell the care and the time that you've put into creating what you've got, and I appreciate that, man, as a consumer, because it's real easy to just, oh man, we're going to throw some stuff out there, and whatever sticks to the wall sticks.
Right.
And no, this is I'm loving this, man. This is a good stick.
Well, I'm telling you, this is one of the first cigars I've smoked from your line, actually. It's just one of those where I just never got around to it. It's like, I don't know if we managed to meet up and you had cigars.
I know you've had an Alabama Rose because I've given you one.
It must be tucked in my humidor. At this point, my humidor, it's just kind of like, okay, I'll just grab this.
Looks like a Foot Locker when you're leaving on TDY.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, for my friend, I'm going to say for the record, for my first one, I could be wrong, but this is good.
I appreciate it.
I dig that, man. I want to smoke more from your line, and you had me at Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
And this is a broadleaf
Yes.
Maduro. I don't know who's doing your blending. I don't want to know, but they know their stuff because it's got the great flavor. The power that I would expect is not there, so it really makes it enjoyable.
Right.
And it's beautiful. It's perfect.
Well, it's that new generation of Maduro. Back in the day, Maduro meant you were going to get punched in the face. We always say that, you hit that Maduro and you're ready to either A, punish yourself, or, you just got a thick throat and you a waitress somewhere in lower Oklahoma slinging hash going, here you go, honey. But, this generation of Maduros that are coming out over the past 10 years, it's like all about flavor. It's not about power so much.
Right. Right.
Which is really cool because, some people get really intimidated by the darker cigars because they're afraid it's going to be too powerful or make them sick because it's so strong. I got to eat a full meal before I smoke this. This, I think I've had breakfast and I'm still good. I mean, I don't get that green feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have smoked this. The flavors are really coming together on this. I enjoy it.
Appreciate that.
What do you have? You said you had a couple more coffees coming down. Where are you at on the next blend? I mean, you got something in the works? You got more than one in the works?
As far as coffee?
No, cigars.
Oh, I have more than one in the works.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I try and plan out. You got to look about a year ahead.
Yeah.
So the projects that I'm working on now is something that I planned about a year ago. So if you're not always, because you have to evolve. I mean, otherwise you're at a scramble.
Now, are you got stuff paced out where you're going to release every 3 or 4 months or sooner?
It just kind of depends on how the cards land. Okay. I mean, honestly, I got another one. When does the show air?
Next Sunday, 16th.
Sunday.
So I do got another one coming out before then.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to happen by the end of this week.
Nice.
So it is coming. It's another phenomenal one. It's great with coffee, great after dessert. So I got that happening. I should be getting into brick and mortars within the next 3 months.
Oh,
Boxes
sweet.
are going into production here shortly. So I mean, it's all coming to its place, but it's definitely takes some time to get here. And it's like I said, it's a lot of money to source everything, figure it all out, go with the best deal. And my whole thing is I don't want to put out funky bands. I mean, I put out something that always has like almost a double meaning. Okay, like Alabama Rose, that's my daughter, right? So it's a double meaning. Fast lane, same thing. Everyone knows I got a GT500. I like to drive in the fast lane, but at the same time, life's moving. We're all in the fast lane, right? So take it, smoke it, and put yourself in the slow lane. And then hot pass, like I said, that's the first weld. So that was his first cigar. He wanted to come out as hot as he could, and that was the best one. And honestly, there we go.
And it really does. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
You know, I struggle because I smoked the fast lane before it had abandoned the name because you were sneaky.
Yeah.
I struggle to find, you know, if you were to ask me to critique you, it would be very difficult for me to do that because everything that I expect and everything that I want, I get.
Right.
You know, it's very hard to find anything negative because there isn't anything. And for all of you that watch this program, the camera's over there. For all of you that watch this program, I'm sitting here looking at Gorilla because he's in direct line.
Because usually the camera's right in front of me.
Yeah. Well, usually the camera's in front of me, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
I can't even remember any of his speeches to go in and imitate him. But
He doesn't either.
No.
You just fall down the stairs. You'll be all right.
Fall down the stairs or go off the teleprompter and have them unplug it. So, you know, when he gets these into brick and mortar, guys, you really need to push your brick and mortar to put these in their own shop because they all need their arm twisted. Let me tell you. The other thing I would say is if you're not getting on his website, you really should be. If you can't remember what it is, you can go to our website, LumaCigarCartel.com, click the Friends link, and click his logo, and it'll take you right to his website because it's already been up there for a long time.
Now, you still doing Instagram?
Yes.
You're doing Instagram Lives once a week?
Every day.
Every day? Oh, shoot.
Every day.
Okay. Right on.
Every day, a couple hours a day, just whatever it allows, after work, stuff like that. So
you
Yeah,
got
it was
the whole
actually-
studio set up at the house and everything.
no, I was just there with my humidor smoking at the table. So
There we go.
you know,
Nothing wrong with
whatever
that.
works, you know.
And it's always interesting, you know, my phone notifies me when he goes live. It's always interesting, even if I only pop up for 5 or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
to see who in the cigar industry is now paying attention to Danny and who's on the live with him because you never know. I mean, he's got a core group of dudes and ladies that are really, really cool to hang out with him and smoke with him. But once in a while, you pop on there and, hey, there's Pete Johnson or there's Matt Booth or somebody like that. So, you know, the attention that he's getting is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is.
absolutely.
'Cause if they don't know you, they can't support you.
That's it.
You know,
That's
Exactly.
it. And a huge shout out to Pete. I mean, he's been nothing but supportive the whole time. Honestly, he's done a lot for me.
It's one of our favorite manufacturers.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's cool to see you evolve, man. I mean, it was what the first time you were on the program, you had one cigar?
I don't think I had any.
No, he didn't have any.
At that point, I was doing a big giveaway for autism.
Yes,
Yes.
I remember that.
So I did. I went through that whole giveaway, which took about 4.5 months to go through everything. And once we did it and made the donation, the whole deal. So it was really phenomenal. And then it just happened to evolve that the cards aligned that I ended up with my first cigar out not too long after that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Because I was working on that on the back burner, but I wasn't telling anyone because I'm one of those people that
Right.
if you don't know, you can't mess it up.
Exactly.
Because, yeah, your first interview with us was a little over a year ago, and we were talking about collecting cigars because your collection is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then your next appearance was last fall when we talked about our Rocky Mountain recap.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right. I forgot this is number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah.
You were on the recap of the Stumble Fest.
I remember that.
Oh well. How you doing there, Greg?
Why did we have to record this? I'd rather smoke.
And that's saying something for coming from Greg on a Maduro, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's not normally, and you put 20 cigars down, and he's not reaching for the
Yeah,
Maduro.
he's steering clear.
Not
of it.
normally.
Right.
I mean, this is, I'd rather ignore this mic and not talk and just sit and enjoy.
So would we.
Oh, okay.
Okay, dude.
Mine off, Gorilla.
Okay. If we could get a clip of what happened about 45 seconds ago, the look on his face as he's twiddling it lovingly and talking about it. It was
Uh-oh.
kind of
Yes,
scary.
no.
Notes are being written in Gorilla's binder. We're going to see a slow-mo replay of that.
It was kind of scary, man. I was like, "You're in the zone."
It's good.
No, I enjoy it, but damn it, man. You were like, "Yeah, this is fantastic. It's amazing." I just want to sit here and just smoke it. Gimme.
Breathe in, man.
He puts the band on the cigar, and else it gets the hose again.
Wow.
My man.
Gorilla, you've been pretty quiet. How are you enjoying that fast lane?
I was just gonna say, I'd smoke me. And now that I've creeped out the entire audience, it's really good.
Yeah, no, this
really
is definitely, man.
You broke one of the hosts.
Okay, wait.
If I don't break one host per episode, I think that violates my contract.
Okay, big shout out to Larry here because he's got the effed up chair because I would have cracked my skull.
We'll have to put down a crash pad behind you guys for the next episode.
Yeah, that's what we need. Because we need more shit to haul around for this gig. Yeah. Gorilla
That
was
was
already
good.
bitching about being the roadie today. So he comes back from vacation. He's got double duty, man. Got to do podcast stuff, art stuff. It's a tough.
His own podcast.
It's a tough day for a gorilla.
You know, when we really start getting into swag, we got to get a Gorilla Roadie shirt designed.
We've been talking about this, man. The gorilla is the designer, and I don't think the gorilla is too.
No. Back up a minute.
We've had this
Gorilla
conversation.
design.
We've had this conversation. Poor Danny's sitting here like, where the fuck are we right now? All the gorilla art we find is just like angry roid rage. I'm gonna rip your fucking head off, gorilla. That's not the gorilla's vibe, man.
So basically, we need to get a hold of Warner Brothers and get Grape Ape.
we can honestly, you're not wrong.
99 Designs, find a friendly, say, hey, we want you to design a friendly gorilla, the people's gorilla.
Not a cute gorilla.
Not the
Just
Jim Jones gorilla.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
you-
the people's gorilla. Drink the Kool-Aid.
the gorilla of the proletariat. If
The
you will.
People's Gorilla. It sounds like the People's Princess.
We have to be sure to say gorilla and not gorilla.
Did you know that 99 Designs got acquired by somebody?
Who did they get acquired by?
Vistaprint.
Yeah, fascinating. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean,
I don't know.
They do good work.
They do.
Or at least the set is a good setup. You know, for a couple $100, you get like about, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 30 people doing your design. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
No, they did a pretty good job on the stuff we've sent them.
Yeah.
Greg sent them.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
No, not a sponsor.
No, not a sponsor.
No, they were
But-
duly paid.
But if you would like to,
Please reach out.
Yeah, maybe reaching out to them again because we need a people's gorilla.
how did we get here?
Because you're a genius, that's why.
Thank you.
You're a goddamn genius, and I want to show the world you're a genius when we do swag. It can't just be Beyond the Humidor. We got to have gorilla wear.
All right. I will say, going back to the cigar, because we kind of got off on the tangent.
Yeah.
I had one more thing. I'm always surprised by the Sumatra leaf stuff. I always forget how much I like it.
Yeah.
Everything Sumatra I've tried, I've really liked. And I need to remember that when I go looking for something to smoke, especially at brick and mortars I'm not familiar with, or places where there's cigars that I don't have access to it, Tobacco Republic or elsewhere nearby. So I have to stick that in my notes so I remember it for the next cigar buying cycle.
Well, that just harkens to there is so much stuff now, man. Because, I get a lot of my stuff from Tobacco Republic. Then I go to other places, a couple of places out here, like the place you talked about over by Expo. And
Cigar Club.
Cigar Club, yeah, over in Sacramento on Expo. And that's a great place.
Yeah.
They had a lot, they had a lot of Placencia. And I got my hands on some of that. And then the Romeo and Juliet Twisted Love Story.
The barber pole.
Yeah, that's the bomb, man. And, when you're in your cigar travels, you just find all sorts of interesting stuff. Like when I went to Florida and I discovered the Etafal from Placencia. I haven't even smoked one of those yet.
I was going to say, have you cracked the seal on that box yet?
I cracked the seal of the packaging just to get it into my humidor. And I did open it up, of course, and it's just like, but I haven't smoked one yet. It's one of
And
those.
Danny may have not have heard Catch Him Up.
Okay, so for the World Cup last year, Placencia came out with this cigar, the Etafal, and it goes for like, I think it was 65 or 70 a stick. I was over in Florida at what the frick is that place called?
Island Girls? Or
No.
CI?
CI, yeah, I was over at CI, and I was getting rung up, and he said, "Hey, if you like Placencia, check this out." Okay, what the hell? I'll buy up this before I found out I was unemployed.
It's one of those, hey, brother, come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Look what we got for you.
Yeah, I sat there and looked at the box in green. It's beautiful, and I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm in.
He knew you weren't going to pass it up.
Take my money.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And it's sitting in my humidor now. I have not even cracked one open yet. I'm just like, oh, it's just so pretty with all the cigars, a full box.
Yeah, but the problem I see with you, it's a box of 10, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be 10 that'll go very quickly when you smoke the first one, most likely.
Probably.
I deliberately have not cracked the seal on the box that I brought home from this weekend for that same reason.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, tell us about, your travels from the previous weekend.
So back to Idaho I went. The land of freedom is very, very nice and very calling. I went for two reasons primarily. One is the new release of the BMO by Cavalier Genevieve, which is our good friends, of course, Sebastian DeCopet and Brian Matola. The new release is a Lancero. What I found this weekend, which made it both very nice and quite disturbing at the same time, there were only 200 boxes made for the U.S. They only went to 4 retailers, the Vault being one of them.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Really.
Holy.
So it is a Visa Jalapa wrapper in a Lancero. So as everybody knows from previous shows, and Brian Matola talked about it on an interview, which you can find on our Facebook page and our YouTube, because I'm not going to show it through this podcast, but you can go look it up if you want. The Lancero size concentrates the flavor because you have less filler tobacco going in, so you get the true essence of the binder, wrapper, and filler.
Right.
That Visa Jalapa leaf, not to put ideas in anyone's head, but when I smoke it, it's sweet. It's got sweet tones to the smoke, sweet tones to the exhale, so it's really, really delicious. And it's just sad that it's a one-and-done run at 200 boxes. Because you're all my friends, and I like you all, I'll make sure you all get one out of my box that I brought home. But
Did you not get additional boxes?
I got one box.
Couldn't you get like $2, $3?
Well, I'm going to go back up there potentially in 2 weeks. So what you're telling me is you want a box if there's any left.
Yeah, probably.
We can work on that.
All right.
But it was fun. We also did an interview with Josh Everetts. That is the owner of the Vault.
And now, speaking of tax,
Yeah.
as my listeners will know, I come from a state where the tax rate is 67.5%. Yours is 40 until the 1st of July.
Yeah, a lot of hard work went into that. So for those of you who don't know, OTP tax is another tobacco product. Most of the states in the country have this tax, and it's a tax on the wholesale cost of that cigar that is just paid directly to the state. So all these cigars that you see here, whether I sell it or not, the state got paid 40% on the wholesale cost of all these. So a couple years ago, we got involved with a couple other retailers in the state to look to advance a tax cap, meaning that it's still 40%, but it's going to be limited to 50 cents a cigar. Last year we failed. We had a House member that put forward. We were not able to get through the committee that it was on. So this year we really focused on the election process and finding candidates that would get behind it. And I think our big mistake is we called it a tobacco reduction kind of act, or tax reduction act. And as soon as you put tobacco in the word, people, think vape, and they think cigarettes and children and health issues, not really understanding premium cigars.
Right. I've never seen it in all my trips up here. I've never seen a child walking into this lounge drive by a cigar.
No. And we've not, in 6 years, I've never had a teenager come in here trying to buy a $17 cigar. It's not actually a thing. So this year we made it a Small Business Protection Act. It started in the Senate with these two senators, Senator Berkey, Senator Burnt. They advanced it, got it through the Senate. We got into a little bit of hot water in that the House is required to start all taxation bills in the state of Idaho by law.
Okay.
So we had to do some finagling. We had to whip up some support in the House. They ended up getting it in the last week of the session through the House, voted on. Senate went back to them. They passed it, and the governor signed it last week. So as of July 1 of this year, we'll have a 50-cent cap on cigars in the state of Idaho.
Oh, that's fantastic. It just makes for a great experience because, like I was telling you earlier, a $10 cigar in my state went to $15.95 with our taxes. So to see a price reduction is going to be huge for you guys. I think it's going to be a great boom for your guys' business.
It's big. And what people don't get is that tax, when people come in here and see a higher cigar price, that's not money that's coming to my wife and I. That's just directly going to the state. So it's really the taxpayers, it's the citizens that are getting the break. I'm getting the same amount of earnings. We're just going to be generating more because we're going to be competitive with those online retailers, and we've leveled the playing field for small businesses in Idaho.
And that's perfect because small businesses is really what makes the cigar industry function. It's the brick and mortar. It's one of the things that we tout on the podcast all the time is support that local brick and mortar. And here's the prime example. Here is a local brick and mortar, highly successful and a great place to hang out.
So as that interview just showed you, Idaho did something very intelligent. The Vault, the Racketeer, Paul, of course, that you guys know, Tim from Stearman's, or is it Tim from VCut? Forgive me if I got the wrong stores, guys. But the four of them, plus a couple other retailers, banded together. They went over to the House and the Senate in the great state of Idaho, and they got the tobacco tax reduced from 40% to a cap of 50 cents a stick starting July 1st.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's a big difference.
So if 40%, if 50 cents is less than the regular tax, then they're stuck at 50 cents. That's all they can get. It will benefit the more expensive cigars immensely. And, if you take that 24-count box of the Visa Jalapas that I brought back from Cavalier, the tax on that is no more than $12 on its wholesale price. That's it. That's all it can be. And studies have shown that in the states that have reduced and put caps on their taxes, it increases their tax revenue, surprise, surprise, because we, the consumers, buy more cigars.
Yep.
Look at California at 67.5%.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Has that changed our cigar buying at all?
No, it hasn't slowed it down for me,
Not
or
me
for
either.
any you two for that matter. It can affect some people, and it does. And it's just one of those where you have to really think about, the consumer, and the retailer's going to benefit, the consumer's going to benefit, and the state's going to benefit. But they also could not call it a tobacco bill. So I believe Josh said it's called the Small Business Protection Act, because anything with the word tobacco, automatically they get all, frumpy about it.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree with your statement there. It has affected all three of our purchases because we've done stuff different over the last couple of years than we were doing before. And I don't think it's 100% tax related, but, we're traveling more, having to do with cigars than we were 2 or 3 years ago, but we're also doing more online purchases, all of us.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's a big difference.
Yes.
Because up until about 3 or 4 years ago, I hadn't bought any cigars online. Everything I purchased was over the counter somewhere, either Tobacco Republic in Southern California, a couple other places that we travel. So, yeah, the 67% tax is a little bit of a factor, but not a huge factor.
Yeah.
It's not stopped, our enjoyment of cigars, but it has changed it a little bit, but along with other factors. So,
Yeah.
I think California would do well. The hell are you doing?
Making a mess.
Yeah, no shit.
I think California would do well to look at a flat tax or a cap on the tax.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because
Absolutely.
I think just like Greg said, I think the revenue would go up. for a couple of reasons. I think their retailers would sell more stuff. Guys like us would buy more stuff, but it would also attract more manufacturers that want to distribute in California.
Right.
Yeah, but remember, the whole tobacco-free California, is just a way of phasing out tobacco.
No, I understand that. And it's, you got to pick a struggle, and I think states have learned this a little bit with weed, that they went whole hog into legalized marijuana, and now they're realizing that they should have had some more legislation in place, some more rules in place, they may have done it should have done it a little different. But all that evolves, and I think cigar tax is going to have to evolve a little bit in this state, because you're not going to getting away from tobacco 100% is just not realistic.
No.
The only place in this country that there's a possibility you could pull off something that stupid would be here in California, but I don't even think they're going to be able to pull it off here.
Well, it's happening. Remember that Logan's Run bill? Basically, if you were born after this date, you can't buy tobacco products. So they're hoping the tobacco consumer dies out, basically.
Yeah, all they're going to do is create a black market.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they're preventing people from buying it. Okay. Reno's 90 miles away. Anything that they put prohibition on, whether it be gas engines for generators and chainsaws and stuff like that, to cigars, to cigarettes, to ammunition, flavored tobacco, we would never advocate a felony, but nonetheless, you're just creating a market for not so much a black market, but the people that can, like us, where we're close enough, we're going to drive our happy rear ends 90 miles over the mountain into Reno. We're going to hand them our money, let them get the taxes, let them get the money that California is supposed to get, and say, screw off, and bring it back over the border.
And drive on their kick-ass roads.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you love it when you leave the state of California? It's like thunk, 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 thunk. Then it's like now entering Nevada, the silver state, and it's like thunk, thunk, thunk. It's like, hey, this road is pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's that way.
Oregon, Arizona, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you cross the line, it's
Oregon's gotten shitty up there, but yeah, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, nice roads.
Well, there's only 11 people in Wyoming, for Christ's sake. How are you going to screw up the road?
What do you want, little vermin?
What the fuck is this, Greg?
What do you want, vermin?
What are you doing, Dave?
You're in polyester. You can burn.
What is all this? All of a sudden, this hatred of furry?
Why do you hate Bucky so much?
Oh, I don't hate furries.
Yeah, we're aware. Mm-hmm. It's creeping us out a little bit. Notice Greg's on the end of the table. Everybody else is over here.
I don't hate Bucky. I have nothing against the little vermin.
When you go to a Bucky's, your mind will change.
It could very well be.
You need to go visit a Bucky's.
Yeah.
See the light, my brother. See the light.
Apparently, I have to try the brisket sandwich because it'll blow my mind.
It comes with a Bible.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, they're little beaver puffs or whatever they have.
Oh, the beaver nuggets.
Those are something else.
Oh, beaver nuggets kick ass.
And they're made of?
Beaver, goddammit.
Yeah.
I don't care. It could be soylent green for all I care.
Ah, Scott the Cannibal.
Well, Gorilla was quoting Silence of the Lambs earlier.
Again, Danny's like, I signed up for this shit.
Always do. Yeah. It's always a good time.
Danny will do a live tomorrow going, all right, there's going to be a link to this podcast I did.
Don't listen to it.
You know,
I was there against my will. They locked me in.
Wow.
Would you smoke me?
Hello, Scott.
You're just out to get me on this episode, aren't you?
I
You
think
need to-
so.
Do that right as he starts his outro and it's over.
I'm not that cruel.
Survey says.
We disagree. But, it really does come. So the other thing I found out while I was over there is Josh is expanding the vault to a second and potentially third location in time. And obviously, let's go ahead and plug this promo. Matt's going to join us in May. Josh is going to join us in May.
Sure it's not Brian?
Could be Brian, too. I don't remember. Brian. Hello, Brian.
Yeah. See how easy that happens?
I know. Isn't it terrible? So
hang on. Back the fuck up. The audience just heard 7 names in 30 seconds.
So
Who's
the owner
joining us?
the owner of the vault, Josh Everett, is joining us in May. There'll be a great little plug that's going to go up after Danny's episode releases and start that off that we did with him. But he's opening a second location, and that's going to be the Vault Eagle in Eagle, Idaho. El Septimo is the big deal out there for that lounge. It's going to be one of the El Septimo lounges, and that's really cool for that state because they need more cigar lounges. They really do. And with Josh's high standards and El Septimo's high standards, it's going to be a match made in heaven. They're going to make a great place. And then he's looking at Caldwell, Idaho as well for a 2025 future opening.
Good God.
And y'all need to get up there and check out that lounge.
Well, dude, if you go in 2 weeks, I may tag along.
Okay.
You still got the same girl bartending up there in Meridian?
No, Sarah has apparently moved on to bigger and better things. But they've got a couple of different bartenders. The biggest thing that I love about Josh's place is he believes in relationships, and he picks his staff in that way too. So they're all friendly. I only go up there, 3 or 4 times a year, but they all know who I am. They all remember me. It's very welcoming, and he just does such a great job with it. And he's got great lines in there. So, someone
between a drinker and a non-drinker right there.
Yeah. Well, someone needs
They gotta
to
be bartenders.
motor his way up there and
I'm
talk to
waiting-
Josh.
I'm waiting for the names of the bartenders. There's Felix and,
The only one I can remember off the top of my head is Michelle. Michelle's been the bartender every time I've been in there.
And she makes a mean Shirley Temple, let him tell you.
I wouldn't know. I don't ask for that.
Jolly Roger?
But no one complains.
three cherries.
But yes, that is part of the problem is I'm a non-drinker, so I either get water or a Coke.
She can pour a hell of a glass of ice water.
Yes, she can.
Now, do you get the cubed ice or do you use the fancy sphere cocktail ice?
No, unfortunately, they gave me cubed ice for that.
As they should.
Mm-hmm. But if you order an old fashioned, which they look amazing, by the way, you get that nice little sphere of ice floating in it.
See, there's the difference between Greg going into the vault. Nothing against the vault. Please, you guys don't take this the wrong way. But there's the difference of Greg being the lead going into the vault, and then either Scott or I going into some place like Stogie's, a Lodi, and the first, it's like an old Western. We kick the swinging doors open. Like, how you doing? Yeah, I want a drink. So there's my money, honey. Keep pouring until we're out of booze or out of money. So yeah, it's just a different philosophy.
Well, they'll do that when you come up and visit there too.
So I'm going to have to test their mixology skills when I get out there.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm easy to please.
I
It's
don't
not gonna,
know.
It's not a challenge. It's
Yes,
like,
it is,
pour
because-
me freaking booze.
Because you're going to ask for a Caparani and she might look at you and go, "A what?"
Hey, the Remy's on the 3rd shelf, 4th bottle over.
Why I got to be Remy?
Because I didn't think they had Boone's Farm.
Wow.
I'll bring a bottle.
Where are you going to get that? Back in 1988?
I'm sure we can find it.
You think so, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Go to South Sac, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not going to be in a neighborhood where he's going to go in and buy it.
What's that gun store you like off of Florin out there?
That's not really a gun store. That's just a bunch of guys hanging out that happen to have a shitload of guns. Huge difference.
Damn, why y'all dry snitching?
Anyway, so Scott, you're halfway through your hot pass. Thoughts?
Great fucking cigar. That's all I got to tell you. I mean, I'm loving the flavor.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I really am. Larry?
This thing's amazing, man. I've been doing more talking than smoking, but it's really really smooth, but there's a little bit of an edge, and I'm not sure what that flavor edge is, but it's just enough to remind you that, hey, this has got something.
Yeah.
And it's going good with a scotch too, man. So yeah, thank you. This is a really good stick.
By the way, Scott, what are you guys drinking?
We are drinking the Macallan. Which one of these? 12-year-old double cask.
Nice option. Yes. Gorilla?
Gorilla, we'll have to agree. My dad and I are smoking the same thing. I agree. It's very smooth, but it does have a little something. Not to discredit the cigar, but I just noticed something. I've never had a cigar do this. The wrapper hasn't cracked, but you know how the wrapper's wound in a spiral? No, please, excuse you. As I'm burning the first spiral halfway through the cigar, it's starting to pull that seam open. So it's not cracking. It's just the leaf got a little narrower. As they did a wind, they went a little too far back, so that seam between the two wraps is starting to open. So it's not affecting the burn at all. I just had never seen a cigar do that. I thought, and as that leaf burns, it's kind of pulling open.
Yeah, like this one, it like lifts the leaf a little bit, so that you get that ash that turns up.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of cool, you know. But yeah, no, this thing, it's carrying the flavor really well through it. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's another great stick of yours.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
And
I think.
Go ahead.
I think the one that we're all missing is the one that you and I've smoked, is that Alabama Rose, because Mr. Robinson, Nicaraguan tobacco happens to be one of your favorites.
Indeed.
And that's where I think you're really going to enjoy that one, because you've got Nicaraguan binder, filler, and wrapper. Okay. And it's got the pepper bite that you like. It's got the, and mind you, for me, this is, again, as Larry said earlier, I'm not the first person that gravitates toward a Maduro. The Alabama Rose is a Maduro. At least I think it is. Am I right? Wrong?
No, it's a Maduro.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a medium to full Maduro, and like Scott said earlier, it's in that pattern of Maduros now that we're seeing that are rolled for flavor, not for power.
Yeah,
and God, I appreciate that, because there's so many good Maduro leaves now and Maduro stuff coming out that is just not going to just knock you out, that you can still get that great experience, you know,
right,
without you feeling sick to your stomach or feeling lightheaded or whatever. Yeah. Now, a lot of them still, it's probably a good idea to eat something, not to go crazy on an empty stomach. But yeah, that was a hell of a first cigar to come out, man.
Yeah.
That's setting the bar pretty goddamn high.
I know. So the wrapper's dark on it.
Yeah.
On majority of the Alabama Roses. It's one of those kind of deceiving. You look at it, you're like, oh, this is going to be one of those, right? And then you actually
pulling
smoke
the seatbelt a little tighter.
Yeah, and then you smoke it, and you're like, okay. I expected it as going to like blow my palate out, but no.
Well, and I had a big meal before I had that one the first time, and I'm like, because same thing. I mean, you get kind of fine tuned into, you know, what you see,
right,
relate to, and I was pleasantly surprised at the flavor, the complexity of the flavor on that, and the draw was amazing.
Yeah,
I did a huge V cut on it because that's all I had at the time, and I'm like, and I was monkeying around with like, am I going to try to trim this with a V cutter, which never works? You end up screwing up the whole fucking stick.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck it, we're just going to wham, and I cut that thing off, and so when you draw, it's like just a funnel of smoke, and that was perfect.
Yeah.
For that cigar, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I always look forward to what you got coming around, and I look forward to the next one for sure, and can't wait, man. It's been a hell of a ride with you so far, and we appreciate everything you're doing. It's great stuff, man.
Oh yeah. I plan to make that backpack of yours a little lighter before you leave.
There we go.
and
transactional. I'm not going to rob you.
Well, and you just touched upon something that I don't think we've ever talked about on any program. How much does the volume of smoke affect your experience? Because I know you and I particularly, I can't speak for the other three, but I know you and I particularly, if the cigar does not produce a good volume of smoke, it detracts from my
It
experience.
pisses me off.
Yes,
There's-
absolutely does.
If I'm fighting the draw, or even if it just shit burns different. I mean,
Right.
this is a handmade product.
Absolutely.
Again, and I've had several sticks in the same line that you'll go 4 or 5 that are just, oh man, this is great, and then you'll get one. It's like, what in the F is going on?
Right.
It's tight, it's dry, it's how in the hell did it came out of the same goddamn box? How in the hell did I get this thing? But yeah, I get super frustrated and super easy. And I've been doing this long enough now. I will throw in.
Oh yeah.
I am
Easy.
I am not fighting a turd, man.
Yeah.
If it's and it's nothing against the cigar. And once again, it's a handmade product. You're going to get a crappy one every once in a while.
Right.
Punt and go for the next set of downs.
Yeah,
Pick something
yeah.
else. But the draw, I have to have smoke. I mean, that's why I'm lighting this thing in the first place.
Right.
That brings up an interesting premise when you have that situation, because I've had that happen to me more than once. And what I tend to do when you have one of those like sorry drawing cigars, I'll cut a little more off. I'll start playing with it a little bit, trying to open the leaves up to get some more air coming through it, or even stick like a paper clip through it just to see if I could get a channel or something to bring the smoke out. Now, about 6 or 7 times out of 10, that works.
Yeah.
Are you trying to make smoke circles over there? I say, as I'm talking about, look at the look on his face. This look right here. He's just
Dances with wool over here, trying to call his people. There we go.
Now,
You look like a cat
as
who-
the gorilla blows the smoke ring.
we're back to the I'm just sitting here when I'm not talking. I'm just sitting here enjoying this stick.
you're like getting high, man. You're just like slow draw, you exhale. And it's like your eyes rolling in the back of your head.
It's more of a puff, puff, psych.
I'm just enjoying it, but no, on your draw poker thing, I've tried that. There's only one time I will fight a cigar till the bitter end unless I can't get smoke out of it. Then I'm trashing it, moving on. But what I find when I put a draw poker through a cigar, and it's universal with any brand, it doesn't matter. Once I create that larger channel in there, I have screwed myself, because you got the heat that runs up through the cigar center and then it starts burning and then it'll explode at some point. So for me, that's not my gig, but you're using a paper clip, which is a lot smaller than the draw poker that I actually use.
Right, I'm not using anything huge just for that reason. I don't want too much oxygen going through it and burning the leaf up, because what will happen is you start burning the leaf up, and then once you get to it, it's like this bitter, it's like, oh, you've messed with the taste.
Yeah, you created a tunnel.
Yeah, and it's a there's a fine line as the Hondas go rolling by here at Casa de Ugly Parrot. Yeah, it's a fine line, man, and that's why I'm to the point in the journey where I ain't gonna fight it much. I'll do the roll, like Scott said. I'll look at maybe clipping something back a little bit if it looks super tight, where I trimmed the cap or whatever cut I did on that. I'll monkey with it a little bit, but if that doesn't help the draw at all, into the ashtray it goes.
Good
and we'll
night.
get something else.
That's the two things. Same with me. If I can't get a draw, it's going out, and if I have to keep relighting it, it's going
Same
out
thing.
too.
Right.
Those are the two things I cannot stand.
Now, Danny, I'm looking at this hot pass. Is that a double cap that I see on here?
Yeah, everything is double or triple.
Right.
Yeah.
Bless you,
Makes
sir.
it for a good solid cut too.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah.
And then quick poll while I've got a group of us good cigar smokers here. I know you're typically a V-cut is your typical cut of choice.
Typically, because I smoke a larger ring gauge cigar for the most part than most people.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
Straight cut all the way. Sometimes I'll do, what's that one? I actually have it on this lighter.
A punch?
Oh, the punch?
Yeah, do the
Yeah.
punch. Yeah, okay.
Punch works better on larger ring gauge cigars too.
Yeah. Danny?
Usually a straight cut.
Yeah. For me, it's a straight cut normally. I'll V-cut larger ring gauges, and I learned that from you. A punch works well for me in a Lancero.
Okay.
because typically the
if you have
straight
a
cut.
tiny punch.
I do. Typically, because I smoke Lanceros predominantly, but typically the straight cut tends to crush the Lancero because it's so small. Gorilla?
I'm about 50-50 straight and V. I got a V cutter with a gift pack of cigars a few years ago from my dad. I have done a couple punches on bigger cigars just because I realized I didn't have a cutter with me, and a lot of lighters will have a punch on him. I don't like punches much because you get that kind of like jet of smoke. I don't like you can. I don't know. There's something about the punches I don't like as much, and I'm also terrible at punching cigars, and I've cracked more than a few caps.
That's the other thing I was going to
That's
say
the
with a
hard thing
punch.
with a punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have noticed something. I've had to learn to not V-cut cigars if I'm going to put them in the Cigar, because I found that if you push them into the Cigar, because it's tapered, it'll kind of close that V up.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yep.
And we're all Cigar users. Danny's got one too.
Yeah.
And
Now, what are
it's-
your thoughts on the Cigar, since we have someone other than us to talk about the Cigar?
I like the Cigar.
Yeah.
I like it. I do like the magnet portion of it too a lot.
Yeah.
You
if
know,
you're working with it.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'm so busy, I just set it down certain places, and it works great for me.
Have you tried it? When we had Cher and Tyson on the show, they were talking about one of their reps magnetizes it to the side of their car as they're going down the highway. Have you tried that yet?
No, I didn't want to lose it.
Yeah.
That is
I
a
didn't wanna
man who
lose
lives
it.
dangerously.
I can tell you
As fast
from
as this guy drives, I'm thinking that's not a good idea.
hey, he might have that GT 500, but he don't drive terribly fast.
Huh.
Not that I've ever seen.
Once
So-
in a while.
V-cut question.
All right.
If you have a big enough ring gauge cigar, have you ever done the X?
Oh, the crown
Absolutely.
cut?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've done that a couple times, and I'm like, man, I kind of feel a little douchey doing this. And then I've smoked it, I'm like, that was nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
80 ring gauge.
Yeah.
That's the way to go with those. Is the X cut.
And I know it's dumb to say. I like the mouthfeel of a V-cut. I don't know why. Shut the fuck up, Scott. I knew that was coming. I'm like, I'm gonna regret saying this.
No, in all honesty.
On some cigars,
Okay.
it's the V-cut's
I'm a
really
grown-up.
nice.
Continue.
Are you though? Are you though?
Hey, real quick, one more thing on the Cigar. Rubber tip or no rubber tip?
I usually use a rubber tip.
So do I.
Scott?
The rubber tip correctly.
Gorilla?
Rubber tip.
Okay,
Yeah.
I recently have stopped using the rubber tip on mine, and I'll explain why. Normally, I don't use the Cigar unless I'm working with my
Right.
hands, doing something on the table here at the shop, tinkering with something at the shop at the house, where I'm holding the cigar in my mouth for a long time.
Right.
What I found because of how I do that is I was getting more moisture around that tip that was ending up into the base of the Cigar than if I took the tip off.
Okay.
So if I'm carrying that cigar in my mouth while I'm doing stuff with both hands, I get a better cigar experience. The end doesn't get wet because
Right.
it will, even with that Cigar on there, without that rubber cap than with it.
Well, the other thing too is these three have the wooden ones. You and I have the stone one.
I was gonna ask.
So I
Yeah.
wonder. I
Difference.
wonder how much that makes a difference.
Yeah.
I think it makes a difference
Yeah.
between the wood and the stone.
I have the wood also.
Yeah.
Same here.
But yeah, I mean, I love that thing. I use the hell out of it. Probably 3 to 4 mornings a week.
Right.
My morning cigar is in that.
Right.
And yeah, it's a great product. I really like it, and I think that thing's going to do well. It's more and more people are getting exposed to it. They're selling the hell out of them. It looks
Yeah.
like on the website.
Yeah.
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 So that's an awesome one. Hey, have you run across anything, Danny, really kind of different or weird or unique as far as accessories? Or as I know you got a lot of people hitting you up with stuff. Have you seen anything like crazy that you're like, oh man, I want one of those, or I need that, or
I've tried a lot of different things. I mean, I've tried the Select Draw, obviously, is one of them. Cigar is another one. Cigar definitely had me interested,
yeah,
especially with the stone. But then when I got the wood one, I really enjoyed that.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I think when I first got the Cigar, it was nice because I got one of the tabletop cutters, right, and it has the little arm, right, like they have in the shops. So that little arm's metal. So when I'm sitting there working on the computer, I just click it right on the top of the arm, and I ain't got to worry about it. Type on the computer,
you know where
and
it
it's
is,
right there every time. So
yeah,
it's funny, man. We talked about this 2 or 3 episodes ago. Having come from the bar industry, I'm surprised to see how long it took the cigar industry to embrace the swag and all the stuff. It took them a long time.
Oh yeah,
and now it's like over the top. You know, you
right.
get anything, you know, with cigar logos and stuff.
You think that's more of a generational thing? They were catering to the older smoker, and then they started looking at, cigar smokers were getting younger and younger.
I'm sure that's part of it, but by and large, I mean, let's take tobacco as a whole. Mm-hmm. Cigarettes have had crazy print ad marketing. Sure, think about Marlboro Man.
Well, yeah,
and Camel Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, cigarettes for 30 years ago were crazy into swag marketing. And
right.
I just don't understand why it took the cigar industry so long to get behind that.
Could it be because it was for a long? I mean, it still is. Is it a premium product thing? Is it like, oh, cigarettes and beer have their T-shirts and bumper stickers and whatever. Cigars are a more noble thing. We don't need the opiate of the people type shit.
I think
you're right.
Could that be part of it? Where it's like
I think you're right.
We're too good to have dumb swag.
I think it comes down to. I think you're in the right ballpark. I think it's because of the tradition that goes behind the cigar industry. The tradition for the longest time had them holding out for that.
Yeah,
because it was the boxes. The boxes were what sold them because you had beautifully designed boxes. And you notice if you look at cigar boxes go back to the turn of the century, not the turn of the 21st, but the turn of the 19th and the 20th, cigar boxes were typically beautifully decorated, highly ornate cardboard. The only one I know that I can recall that still does cardboard boxes is Fuente. Everybody else has shifted to wood boxes.
Right.
Romeo and Juliet. That's
Fuente.
Okay.
Or Romeo's Romeo. Yeah, but that's a different program altogether because they're owned by one of the big conglomerates now. But yeah,
sure.
It's this industry is so steeped in tradition that it took them a long time to embrace that. Hey, we want swag.
I'll go along with part of that, but they changed their marketing on the bands, on the boxes, on the types of advertising that they did to attract to appeal to a younger audience. But yet they still didn't do swag. So, I agree with where you guys are going, as far as the upper echelon type of mentality, but they were still, the swag was still way behind the other stuff that they were doing, trying to reach a younger consumer.
Again, you've got Joe Camel, the Marlboro Man, and the Monopoly Man.
Maybe.
So you got a little bit of a line of demarcation there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably it, I guess.
Now, I got a question for you guys, since we're talking about accessories and swag and such. Now, this is swag here, this cutter, Balmoral. I'm not here to tease you. This is actually a serious question. What's a good go-to cutter? Because this one is about to outlive the age of its usefulness, because I notice when I cut cigars, you notice your shit ain't sharp when you go to cut it, and it kind of mushes it a little bit before it cuts through.
Crack?
Well, everything, the sad part is with cutters, they all have a shelf life.
Yep.
They're all going to cut so many times before they start crushing out. But I've bought a couple new ones recently. That is my standard, the one you've got there. If you would hold that up for the camera, backside, please.
Oh.
It's a solid, if you look, and we may not be able to zoom, but that one is a solid backed cutter. So the depth is the same on every cut, no matter what. And it does not do well for torpedoes. But that's my go-to style of cutter that I usually go to. Mm-hmm. The open ones, though there are some high-quality ones. Lotus makes excellent cutters. The open back cutters, like Danny's there, I tend to cut too deep when I have one of those.
Yeah, I tend to go easy on those, but I want to find one that's made from surgical steel.
They're probably out there.
Yeah. 'Cause I think that would be the move. Get something that's surgical, 120 surgical steel that will just like butter.
Because I do know cutters over time. The 4-place that you're talking about, Danny, in a consumer's home, those are great cutters.
Yeah.
But they tend in a shop, they dull out and wear out fast because they get used way too much.
Back to truck up. What are you talking about here?
You know the 4-place, it's got the 4 and you've got the
You got two V's,
and two
size
straights.
and two
Yes.
straights.
Okay. Yeah.
Those tend to dull. If you put them in a shop, you're typically replacing that or trying to take it apart and sharpen it every 6 to 8 months because they wear out versus where like mine at my house gets used once or twice a week instead of daily.
Yeah, I'm to the point with mine that it needs to be sharpened or I need to get a new one.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, cutters are, I agree with you. And I actually have the same question when you're looking at lighters too, because, you know, you've got the Myriad from the $9 to the $40, I think you paid for that one, to
this
the
was $40.
$25, you know. A high quality lighter is, I think, is equally as important. Now, mind you, do I carry a crap lighter when I travel? Yes, because TSA will take it.
Right.
At some point, typically,
All right there.
SAC International, yeah, I got one headphones going in and out, so I think these need to be replaced. But typically, SAC International, I can get my lighter out, but it's the returning airport that typically takes it because they find it. But same thing goes for that, too. I mean, a high-quality lighter, if we're spending thousands a year on cigars, our accessories typically run in the high category, too.
Well, yeah. Now, I was about to ask you, why don't you just check your lighter? But I'm pretty sure you just
I
took
checked
a
it.
carry-on.
Well, I did. I checked it on the last trip. I got my little Eggy, which is a TSA DOT approved device for carrying a lighter. Sacramento didn't take it. What I did not bring one home with me because I left that lighter up in Idaho, and I took a good lighter with me. But I left that lighter at Tommy's place because I want a lighter there when I go up there and not have to worry about carrying one on an aircraft.
Okay, well, here's the weird thing, okay, because I borrowed your Eggy thing once upon a time, but when I went to Florida and a couple other places, I just threw the lighter in, just bare ass into the suitcase. No one gave a shit.
It might be that that's the rules. I know, excuse me, I know they prefer if they're going to travel, they be empty, but in a carry-on situation, you're never going to get it on board.
No.
But checked luggage, yeah, I mean, if they don't bother to look that hard, they're not going to find it.
Right.
If you get,
Well, they're X-ray and checked baggage too, so they'll see it. But
it just
they
depends
don't
on
care.
whether you get Buford T. Justice TSA agent or not.
I don't think that was her name.
I know Larry and I got hosed one year, and we'll still continue to bitch about that.
TSA pre
Yeah, I know.
ups your chances.
I know. That was the interesting thing. When I flew out of Boise to come home, they only had the pre-lane open, so even us common folk walked through in the pre. So I still had to remove my shoes and belt. But it must be a completely different scanner in that line because I didn't have to remove any of my electronics out of my bag. It all went through at once.
Right.
So it was kind of nice. But
Yeah, that's the big thing, and that's one of the things I love about TSA pre because I'm usually traveling with electronics, so I don't feel like having to pull out like 2 laptops or, Okay, yeah, look, it works. It's a real laptop.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't get me
You
started.
can launch a missile with it and everything.
That's Scott Robinson, just so you know.
ROB.
Hey! What is with this dry snitching shit?
Social security number is as follows.
Wow. Bold of you to think he has that kind of ID.
Well, Scott Sack.
Beaver break.
Do.
Greg, stop.
Yeah, you make it real fucking hard to do the beaver break when you start doing the music I'm about to add in.
Well, if you think about it,
I don't want to.
Scott's passport, has a hammer and sickle on it.
It does not. What the hell are you talking about?
Comrade.
It's got a Cuban flag on it.
Well, he does own the hat. We have visual proof of that.
So I have a hat.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, Gorilla, take me home.
Well, should we give Danny final thoughts
Yeah,
before you
let's do
take him
that.
home?
Let's do that. Any final thoughts there, Danny?
Final thoughts? You guys all enjoyed it?
Yes, we did.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you would give us your website one more
Yes.
time for the viewers.
So the website, it's spelled HRIGUBA, Hygruba. So www.hygruba.com.
Okay, where can they find you on Instagram?
Danny Deez Cigars.
All right, sweet.
All right, here we go.
All right. Good job, Gorilla. Well, looks like the smoke is coming down to the nub and the scotch glass. It'll be empty in a second. So, I think it's about that time. I want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank our guest from Danny D Cigar. Danny, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And on behalf of the Gorilla, Bucky, Greg, Larry, and myself, thank you for listening. Check us out at LimitCigarCartel.com. Like and share us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Don't be a stranger. Drop us a line and let us know you're out there. I'm Scott Robinson, and on behalf of all of us here at Beyond the Humidor, we look forward to chatting with you in the next episode. But until then, stay healthy and safe, and good smoke, good drink, and good life. Cheers, people.